The best GPU. There's a lot of things you have to keep in mind, from the performance of the card down to how much cash it'll set you back by. The top models walk a fine line between the two, and we've rounded them up for you right here. Number 1. Nvidia RTX 3080. If you can find any of the best graphics cards for close to their retail price, then we're confident in recommending the RTX 3080 as the one you should strongly consider. Having launched at just $699, this Ampere GPU proved that super fast 4K gaming on PC wouldn't have to cost as much as the previous RTX generation did. Even in 2022, there's nothing that the RTX 3080 can't achieve in 4K, especially when factoring in the benefits of DLSS for the less well-optimized titles on the platform. The numbers are suitably self-evident too. If the RTX 3070 base model could outperform the RTX 2080 Ti, at least in many conditions, then the RTX 3080 absolutely decimates those figures. However, for most circumstances, the RTX 3080 isn't just a flagship GPU, it's a once-in-a-decade performance boost that would be far more popular inside the machines of gamers the world over if you could buy one at MSRP. Also worth considering is the improved thermal design of the Founders Edition model, and comparatively low temperatures when stacked up against some other RTX 30 series models, meaning it'll tick over like a watch for many years to come. Number 2. AMD Radeon RX 6800 XT. At release, the AMD Radeon RX 6800 XT was poised to take on Nvidia's RTX 3080, and while this card doesn't quite take that GPU crown, it does position itself as one of the best graphics cards from AMD at the moment. In 1440, there are definitely instances where the RX 6800 XT is neck and neck with the RTX 3080, such as in Watch Dogs Legion at ultra settings. Though 4K is where the divide starts to show the most, the ray tracing capabilities of the AMD Radeon RX 6800 XT may be admittedly disappointing when stacked up with the higher-end Nvidia GPU, though it's in that extra VRAM where the speed of Team Red's video card starts to shine. We're starting to see more Radeon-optimized games demand upwards of 11 GB of VRAM, which only the RTX 3080 Ti and RTX 3090 are capable of at the time of writing, in titles such as Far Cry 6 with HD textures. This is a big jump, and it's likely that we'll see more developers in the near future wanting to utilize upwards of 12 GB in this current PC gaming generation we're in. Number 3. Nvidia RTX 3050. The RTX 3050 is the newest budget Ampere video card designed with 1080x60 in mind, making it perfect for those budget-minded PC gamers in 2022. Armed in the same 8GB GDDR6 memory that you'll find in pricier RTX 30 series GPUs are roundup, the RTX 3050 is the best budget graphics card that you can get right now. In our testing, we've found that even more demanding titles such as Guardians of the Galaxy, Control, and Metro Exodus ran at a rock-solid 60 FPS with ray tracing and DLSS enabled in Full HD. 1440 is also decent in many games, though it's usually going to be a toss-up between having visual fidelity and performance, as a 60 FPS average normally means disabling ray tracing and going heavier on the DLSS upscaling options. Regardless of how you push to that smooth frame rate, this video card can keep up well under most circumstances. You need to keep your expectations in check, of course, as the RTX 3050 is a wallet-friendly GPU designed to replace the likes of the perennially popular GTX 1650 and 1660 lines. That means that 4K just isn't on the cards for this particular model. But if you're after something affordable that gives you ray tracing, then you really can't go wrong. The RTX 3050 launched with an MSRP of $250, and at the time of writing, you can find RTX 3050 stock for around the $300 mark if you know where to look. Number 4. Nvidia RTX 3070 Ti. The RTX 3070 Ti may appear on the surface to be an only slightly upgraded version of the original model, but the reinforced edition features one major difference that tips it over the edge: a bump up to GDDR6X RAM as used by the high-end RTX 3080 line and the RTX 3090. We're also seeing an extra 256 CUDA cores for slightly better ray tracing support, but this difference is very minor overall. The upgraded memory type and faster clock speed over the original RTX 3070 provides a solid 10–15% performance boost, whilst meaning it will be able to be pushed further by more intensive games in the future through an allowance for higher bandwidths. The gaming performance of the RTX 3070 Ti is something to be commended, as it's frequently been able to maintain a solid 60 FPS in 4K in some of the latest titles such as Halo Infinite and Deathloop in high settings. We've been consistently impressed with what this GPU can do, and if you're aiming for 4K 60 or 1440p in higher frame rates, then you're going to be very happy with what this video card can do. Number 5. Nvidia RTX 3060 Ti. The RTX 3060 Ti offers performance that was previously thought impossible from an entry-level graphics card only 3 years ago. The benchmarks don't lie. This video card runs circles around the RTX 2080 Super, the previous high-end GPU, to beat while costing half as much. It really is that simple. Now, 4K isn't really going to be the RTX 3060's strong suit. While achieving UHD visuals is possible, it's geared more towards higher frame rates in 1440p and steamrolling through full HD games pushed to their absolute limit. Again, that's not to say that the GPU can't benefit from Ultra HD, especially with the benefits of DLSS, but it's not a card built with this resolution in mind. If you can find the RTX 3060 Ti for a fair price online, then it's going to be ideal for the vast majority of PC gamers. If you can put aside a consistent 4K average in favor of more general gaming performance in low resolutions. That is. Number 6. Nvidia RTX 3080 Ti. For as powerful as the RTX 3080 Ti is, especially given its upgrade to 12GB DDR6X VRAM as opposed to the original model's 10GB, that boost in power comes at a steep price of an additional $500 above the stock RTX 3080. Pricing it comparatively closer to the RTX 3090's $1,499 MSRP, which has double the available memory. Price aside, however, there's little debate that the RTX 3080 Ti is a formidable GPU for high-end 4K gaming, as the benchmarks can indicate. We're essentially seeing a noticeable improvement on the stock RTX 3080, but that power difference comes into its own when looking at games such as Cyberpunk 2077, which, at the time of writing, cannot yet hit native 4K 60 on anything right now. Make no mistake, you're getting an incredibly capable and future-proof GPU that's going to be able to burn through the vast majority of demanding games in 1440p and 4K with no compromises for many years to come. Number 7. AMD Radeon RX 6600 XT. The RX 6600 XT is built first and foremost with being one of the best graphics cards for PC gamers aiming for fast frame rates in 1080p. It's been geared in the marketing primarily towards the esports crowd, as the competitive games in the circuit may not be too visually demanding, but require super high FPS to compensate. The RX 6600 XT is a decent rival to Nvidia's base RTX 3060 model. However, if you're thinking of picking this GPU up for 1440p performance, then you may need to cast a wider net in the field of AMD. While the RTX 3060 Ti generally does ray tracing in full HD better, the benchmarks for the RX 6600 XT really do speak for themselves. AMD published the full list online, where the GPU managed well above 70 FPS in the likes of Far Cry 6, Hitman 3, Resident Evil Village, Deathloop, and more. If you wanted to max out the latest titles in full HD, then this video card will serve you well. Number 8. Nvidia RTX 3090. The RTX 3090 can easily be considered one of the most powerful video cards and best graphics cards ever made, and the absolute top of the food chain of the RTX 30 series. The BF GPU utilizes 24GB of GDDR6X memory for unparalleled 4K and even 8K performance later down the line. When it comes to getting value for money, this GPU sure seemed steep when it was originally released in September 2020. However, considering the sheer power at your disposal here, the RTX 3090 more than justifies its original MSRP. All of that power is kind of unnecessary for right now, though, as this graphics card is built with the near future in mind as opposed to what's available right now. This is evidenced by the fact that you're getting a roughly 10% performance increase in 4K over the RTX 3080. With that said, though, there's nothing else on the market that can compare to what it can do either.